The purpose of Silence the Podcast is to inspire low-income students and students of color to apply to Yale and other prestigious institutions by sharing my experiences. The purpose of Silence the Podcast is not to defame, bash, slander, attack, or drive hate or harassment towards anyone mentioned on the episode, including but not limited to Yale University, Yale College, other entities related to Yale, Yale staff, or Yale administration. The opinions, beliefs, and perspectives of Aisha Selena or any guest on Silence the Podcast do not reflect the opinions, beliefs, and perspectives of Yale University, Yale College, Yale administration, or other entities related to Yale. Buckle in. Silence is complacency.
Welcome to Silence the Podcast with Daisha Selena.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Silence the Podcast. This is episode 6, my very first guest episode. Now, I'm very, very excited for the conversation that you guys are about to experience right now. And I'm going to let him give his own introduction, but I do want to let you guys know the topic of today's episode, which is life as a Black man and student athlete at Yale. If you're a returning watcher and a returning listener to Silence, then you know I've been giving you guys my perspective as a Black woman at Yale. So I think it's very interesting and very special to have on another perspective. We already know the stigma. We already hear the ignorant comments about Black men only being accepted to PWIs and Ivy Leagues because of their student athlete status. Just by knowing him and being in classes with him, I already know that's not the case, and I want you guys to hear his story while I'm also learning his story and who he is as a person through him sharing his experience of what it has been like as a Black student athlete here at Yale. So without further ado, let's welcome our first guest on Silence, Mr. Trent J. Page.
It's Trent Page. I'm a prospective political science and sociology major from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm a first year along with Daisha.
So let's talk about football and your passions and origins with football. I already see you have that smile on your face, so I already know it's something that you care a lot about and you're very passionate about. So yeah, tell me, how did your love for football start? Where did all of that come from?
Absolutely. No. So I've been playing football pretty much my entire life. I can remember, just as a kid, being able to go over to my dad's house and play football in the backyard with my older brother, who was actually a Division I football player himself, which is pretty fantastic.
What school does he go to?
He used to go to Penn State University.
Oh, wow.
He was a 2-year JUCO guy that ended up transferring there. So yeah.
I don't know what that means, but it's
JUCO,
cool.
That's okay. For those who aren't, as tapped into the football world as I am, there's different levels of college football, going all the way from Division I, Division II, Division III, and junior college as well. JUCO provides an opportunity for guys who might not have the Division I look to be able to, I guess, take some time to hone their skills in an environment where they can really focus on football and get a cheaper education, and then end up transferring to a larger school is what most guys end up doing. That's the background for football for me. Always been something I'm passionate about. I grew up at my grandma's house watching football on Saturdays and Sundays, done at the TV. Big Minnesota Vikings fan. I used to really get into it. I would get into it from a really young age. Yeah, that passion hasn't fizzled out yet.
And let's come about your academics, because clearly you made it to Yale, and I know I spoke about this in the intro, but I know it's a large stigma around Black men at Ivy Leagues and PWIs. The racist people, the haters always say you're only here because of your athletic scholarship. So what was your academic life like before you got here?
Yeah, no. So I always took my academics very seriously. I was involved in a number of extracurriculars in high school, as well as getting a very competitive GPA in order to get to this school. And that in combination with my ability on the football field allowed me to be offered by a school like Yale. And then giving me that invitation to come to the school was one of my life's greatest blessings, and I'm super happy to be here and to have accepted that. So yeah.
And I was looking on your Instagram and I saw you got offers from different schools. So
Correct.
What about Yale really drew you?
Along with schools like Brown, I was really drawn to Yale's just like atmosphere of competitive excellence, at least with the football team. Yeah. Not only that, but there are certain connections that you can only make here at a place like Yale. I had offers from all the Ivy League schools except for Princeton.
Oh shit.
Okay. I don't mean to do all that, you know what I'm saying? But it came down to me wanting to take a look at my life holistically and say, you know what, in 40 years, who do I want to be? What do I want to do with my college experience? And set myself up best for that. I want to be someone that's made such a large impact on my community.
Accent.
What do you mean my accent?
It's just very country.
Country. My accent's I've never heard that in my life. I'm from Minnesota, Twin Cities area. So I'm super passionate about community organizing. Obviously, football is a huge piece of my life. And something that I'm going to take, exceptionally serious as far as it possibly goes. But ultimately that will end, right, at one point. And I want to be able to have let the mark on my community, my spaces, whether it be, something as limited as my family, or like, larger, towards like the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, or, this country as a whole, where I could say that, hey, I made a positive impact. I, helped to, for example, because I know that we're both aspiring law school students, yes, ma'am. We're both aspiring law school students, being able to, attack things on a structural level. Take a look at the systems that are in place, the injustices that exist within these systems, and being able to, dissect them and to hopefully create, better systems, right?
This is not a DEI admit, okay?
Absolutely
He's
not.
very educated.
Absolutely not.
Now I want to get into a little bit of how were you recruited at Yale, because that's probably a process that a lot of people are interested in and I know nothing about. So what is the athletic recruitment process like?
Yeah, of course. I received my first scholarship offer the January of my junior year. Right after my junior football season.
Year?
Yeah, after my football season.
I was in the trenches January. My junior
man,
year.
I feel like we all were. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And see, at that point for me, I was really struggling because I'd always wanted to be a Division I football player, but I had seen that a lot of my peers had gotten scholarships to schools before me. So, when that day came, it was super exciting for me. Central Michigan University was the first school to offer me a scholarship, and from there, it kind of got the ball rolling. But ultimately, I was really drawn to the Ivy League because
it's the Ivy League.
It's the Ivy League, right?
Yes.
But not only do they have such a historic and just amazing football culture here, especially with Yale, Harvard, Yale, just like the opportunities that you have off the field, kind of like I already tapped into, being able to, network, build connections, just to take advantage of all the things that Yale has to offer. I think is something that I wanted to take that back to my people. So, yeah.
So how did your first semester go at Yale? I know for me,
man.
it was decent.
Mhm.
I could have did better. I know
It was decent. It was
Yeah.
I definitely feel you on that. It could have been better type situation. A student athlete lifestyle, as you know, is very
I
rigorous.
can only imagine.
It is tough, if you're breaking it down, it's about a 40-hour week on top of your studies. So I wasn't always able to commit as much time as I wanted to my academics because I was absolutely prioritizing my my performance and what I could do for the football team. But I was still able to enjoy the class. I know we shared a class together. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that later. We finna tap into that.
Yes.
No, I was able to have a solid first semester. So yeah, I could have shown up to stats class more, and maybe watch back some of those lectures.
Week of class, I did not see.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I was like, yo,
and that was very intentional. You know what? I'll be honest with you. At that point, my body was in such pain that I was like, you know what? I'm going to say I put myself in a good spot this academic semester. I do not need to show up these last this last little week of classes. I can focus solely on just football and making sure that I didn't fall apart literally. So
yeah, erase the other shit. You have to make sure you're good.
Now you know how it goes. So
yes.
Yeah, I had to make that choice.
So how did you balance the two? Because you said a 40-hour week. That shit that's basically a full-time job.
Essentially, yes. Mm-hmm.
So how did you balance being a student? Because I remember speaking to you and you were saying that practices were you were waking up 4 a.m., 6 a.m. one of those?
Yeah, no. So early on during the season when we had our when we had fall camp, we were out at the facility, which is about 2 miles or so off campus for the majority of our days. Sometimes it would be from prior to school starting. This would be from about 5 a.m. to roughly 6 or 7 at night. And then once school started, it would be you get up earlier for about 3 weeks. Is this period? You get up about 5 a.m. or so. Go to practice, and then from there, shower, go to class, and then you'd come back and you'd have meetings, and that was a big part of my life. Really huge time commitment during that beginning part of the year. But as the season progressed, I was able to balance everything out a little bit more and be able to find more time to really tap into all the areas of myself because I'm more than an athlete. So yeah.
Was there a point where you started to resent waking up early as shit and then going to class and then coming back and then doing the football thing and it's just repeating the cycle? Obviously, or from what I can tell, you enjoyed this experience overall. Did it ever get I don't know about this?
I'll definitely say that there were times where it was harder for me to see the light when I wasn't quite in the same headspace that I am now. But really diving into the relationships with my teammates, especially, it made it worth it. I'm really thankful, even on those hard days, when it's difficult to wake up. I'm a passionate person. I'm a person who has a lot of love in my heart for a lot of different people, a lot of different things. And I think that love is the greatest motivator. So yeah.
We're gonna get into the love part a little bit later.
Okay.
What does it mean to be a member of the football team at
Mhm.
Yale? Answer that as like just being a member and then being a Black member.
Yes, I'm really glad you made the distinction. I used to have, about 119, 120 best friends on campus. Now I have, closer to 70. And that's like,
Wow.
like really something that's fantastic. Obviously, some of those relationships are closer than other relationships. But, being able to like, come in and have like that group of guys that that you can depend upon, rely on because you guys are all doing these hard things together. I think it's something that's it's super valuable and something I've definitely leaned upon as I touched on previous. So I say specifically being a Black member of the football team, it's been a big benefit, especially because of the resources that we have, like BSAC, something I'm involved in, the Black Student Athlete Coalition.
I didn't even know that existed.
The Black Student Athlete Coalition started out as kind of just an affinity group for like Black student athletes, but it's expanded into something that delves into community service, which I'm really personally involved in. Teams at Yale are predominantly white. Yale's football team is much more close to even between like white and minority players, with the vast majority of those minority players being Black players. Really a special sense of I say community that we have. It's always fun being able to go out to the dining hall just to see a bunch of guys just like all together and know that you.
All you see just tables of
men
men in athletic gear.
The football team provides me a space. Really do feel like I can be my my more authentic self with more consistently, I'd say, than the larger Yale, I guess, like bubble as a whole. Just because, as you know, and as you touched on previous, there are certain challenges to being a Black and like boldly Black person here. There's certainly just like the general stuff that you have to put up with while being a Black person. And I wouldn't say that Yale's a place where there's any more, any less of that. There definitely are a lot of people here, unfortunately, despite their academic potential and maybe any amount of like great work they've done in their personal communities that tend to hold some racist beliefs and tend to act upon those in ways that are really unfortunate to see. Which is why like I said, I cherish that space I have with the football team so heavily.
Do you feel like you belong here?
I say I absolutely do. Just because I put in the work to get here, right? Put in the work to get here. I ain't getting no handout, you feel me? And I have as much potential to succeed, whether it's academically or athletically as anybody else does at this school. It's most unfortunate when, you hear people, some people like, louder on social media because they don't want to say stuff to your face, you feel me? Talk down to you or like talk down to your status as a Yale student athlete. I really love just like challenging that stereotype. I make an intention within my classroom spaces to be vocal to show that I know what I'm talking about, or make an effort to learn and to really just engage on the material. I am a strong Black man who's proud of who I am and can also academically duke it out with the best of them. So yeah,
I definitely feel that, and I feel like that's something I had to figure out when I first got here because I kept like. The DEI comments, diversity, equity, and inclusion, like you only got here because of that. When I first saw the comment, I didn't really pay too much attention to it because I'm like, and what if I am? Like that's the point of diversity, equity, and inclusion, to make sure that people that look like us are in these spaces that were never built for us. But I also had to keep reminding myself that I'm here because I have a purpose.
Yes.
And this is the path that I was led on. Like I got here for a reason. I could have ended up at any other school in the nation and I ended up here. So I just have to make myself known. I cannot dim my presence or my light for anybody else.
That's right.
And I definitely see it in you, especially because we're in the same freshman FROCO group orientation. I still don't know what that FROCO shit stands for.
That FROCO, I had no idea.
I don't know what that stands for. I remember we were talking about sexual assault and that whole thing. Still don't know what the policy is about that.
Man, that was really interesting. I'm not.
That shit blew my mind. And we were only here for a few days. But you were one of the ones that were very vocal and trying to figure out like what is the policy and how will it affect both parties. And that's what stood out to me, and that's why I thought of you when wanting to have a Black man on this podcast, especially for my first guest episode, because I brand this podcast as Life as a Black Woman at Yale, and I feel like it's important to have that other perspective. But you stood out to me because you've always been vocal about just things, especially in that freshman group, but also in the class that we were in together. It's
a part of my identity that I can't check at the door. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Being able
to can't take it off.
I can't take it off. You know what I'm saying? It is a part of me. And part of it I think stems from me just being somebody who wants to fiercely advocate for justice. All my life I've always wanted things to be a little more fair than they are, and I look forward to fighting that good fight for the rest of it. But I think that ultimately, no matter what changes or what doesn't, being somebody who is taking those steps in the right direction is something that's ultimately valuable. So, yeah, I got no regrets.
So towards the end of the conversation, I wanted to get into social life at Yale, because when I told my opinions on the social life at Yale, I received some pushback, some not backlash. It was a little bit confusion and wanting clarity. And I feel like I said what I said. I feel like there's some commitment issues that I've seen from the ones I've spoke to on that level. But in terms of Black women at Yale, your experience with dating and the dating culture, how has that been?
In general, with the dating culture here at Yale, I have found that there's not many people who are looking to really lock in like that, and that is neither here nor there. Everyone in their life is looking for something different. You just got to make sure that you have open and honest communication about that, and that y'all both on the same page. Definitely some great ones. There's definitely some bad ones, but
have you had experience with bad ones?
Oh, you know what? I don't know if I want to get into that on this podcast. That there's a certain sense of entitlement with some women here. And that, but I feel like that you can legitimately find that everywhere. But I want to be very careful with my language here, because I don't want to come off as
I get it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like it's less about them being women, and more so a lot of people here come from a lot of privilege, right? Very very high income backgrounds. People who think that they're entitled to certain preferential treatment in different ways, or just things in association with that. I don't think it's anything to do with gender per se, because there are shitty men, there are shitty women. Hey, that's how it goes. Charge to the game, and yeah.
Do you feel like you're gonna find your wife here?
I would love to. I would really love to. No, there are some really great people here, and I feel like a space like this, which attracts some people who are of such diverse backgrounds, have some passions that are going to take them exceptionally far, and just interested that I do find to be very intriguing. I would love to find my wife here, but I don't know. We're gonna see how it shakes. So yeah.
Parties. I've already made that clear. I don't really like the party culture.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really a party person in general. But you are, once again, a Yale athlete, and y'all basically run the party scene from what I've seen.
So to a certain extent.
Yeah, to a certain extent. So what's your opinion on the whole party thing?
Oh man, I will say this: you definitely have to go to the right spots. There are certain places, certain houses, for example, that I would definitely advise someone who looks like you or me to steer clear from. There are definitely certain places that you need to make sure that you stay away from if you are of a certain complexion or present yourself in a certain way. But overall, I feel like there is a space for people like you and me to have fun. Shout out to Z. We love it there.
Have you ever been in a situation where you or you seen something crazy happen at a party, something unsafe or anything like that?
Super unfortunate. I actually ended up hearing stories from a couple of my friends who dealt with some incidents earlier in the school year. I'm not sure how much legally that I can get into, unfortunately, but as is a problem with many schools in America, and our overall culture as a whole. Definitely certain places that are more dangerous than others. To anybody looking to go out and party, obviously be responsible, have fun, but make sure that you with people that you trust. You're at places you can trust, and that you're watching your drinks get poured, for example. That you're obviously not getting too deep into the alcohol.
One thing that I have personally struggled with is forming genuine connections with people here. I don't know if you watch the other episodes, but I had some friendships, they didn't last.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the Yale conversations is very surface level. What's your name, what's your major, and then keep it pushing. So do you feel that same sentiment, it's very surface level here, or have you, outside of the football team, been able to make genuine connections?
Yeah, no, I'll keep it a buck with you. To be honest, I really haven't made a ton of super meaningful connections outside of the team. Now, I have, for example, shout out my suite mates because I know they're watching this. My wonderful suite mates that I adore. Shout out D32. But man, besides that, it's been really difficult for me to build those meaningful connections, because I really do feel like it's such a fast paced community. Everyone's so busy.
It feels like everyone's a part of 50 million things.
That's what I'm saying, right? And something as simple as grabbing lunch with somebody is exceptionally difficult with how the campus is set up too. So it can be really difficult to really find those friendships to dive into. People like you are what make the school great. So yeah.
I appreciate that. Do you ever feel like homesick? Have you ever been sitting in a class or sitting at the dining hall and
Man.
like, nah, I gotta go home.
Nah,
Like I
yeah.
miss my people back at home.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know if that's a me thing or maybe a just like a general college student thing, but like, nah, I miss my people all the time. Miss my mom, rest of my family. Making sure to keep that in focus is something that's exceptionally important. You're gonna get homesick, but like, you gotta remember why you're here. So
Right.
yeah. There's definitely been certain things that I've experienced here that have caused me to slow down and say, is this really what I want? It is very alienating to be in spaces with people who are as affluent. Many people who don't have the same experiences as you do.
In the previous episode where I talked about, the political climate at Yale and how safe I felt, the political safety, the social safety, I brought up this instance with the Trump truck and how on the day of the 2024 election, where the Harris Waltz campaign lost and the other party won. I didn't personally experience that. I also want to clear that up. I was told by other Black students that they were basically harassing them by following around, driving around the block when, when they saw Black students on the corner. It's public knowledge that the football players were on that truck. So you can, like, what were your feelings? What were your thoughts about that?
Obviously, that's an exceptionally unfortunate situation. My heart absolutely goes out to those students who felt like they were harassed. I don't want to say that it's indicative of Yale football or Yale University as a whole.
So just to wrap up, I want to talk about intentions, because being intentional is something that really became apparent to me when I first got to Yale. I feel like some decisions I made when I first got here, I wasn't moving with the most intention, and I was just doing things. I don't know. I was still in my kind of like living for the plot era, and then I quickly realized this is not the place to do that at.
So Ain't that right?
Yeah. I want you to set intentions for the audience, anyone that was listening. First, what do you hope they took away from our conversation that we had?
What I hope that they will take away from this conversation is that scholars, people who want to do great things in the world, come from all different backgrounds, all different shapes, sizes, all different creeds, walks of life, and just because I or Daisha might look a certain way doesn't mean that we don't have something brilliant to bring to the classroom, to bring to the world. We need to have more eyes on the work that you, especially as Black women, are doing. So yeah, I was exceptionally blessed to join you on this episode. So yeah.
Thank you. I personally have expressed that I would like to see us come together more as like one family, because I personally feel like it's not like that right now. So what set an intention for the Black people here? Like, what do you want to see us as a community become in the next 4 years?
But I've actually been organizing with some other Yale student athletes and some other people from around the New Haven area. We've been looking to do some community outreach, specifically in the mutual aid department, and then seeing how that can change the community. Like for example, I did some work back in my own spot, Minneapolis, back home. Being able to work with different nonprofits, for example, to be able to improve the lives truly of people. I would love for us to be intentional about supporting and uplifting one another, and intentional about the work that we do as Yale students, being able to take the privilege that we have as Black people and as Ivy League students to bring that back to our communities, and just to go out in the world and to enrich, if that makes sense.
Lastly, just set an intention for yourself. Like, where do you want to see Trent at in the future, and what do you want Trent to do while he's here?
Continue to find that football field, to continue to grind in that aspect of my life. Take school as seriously as is required, and to dive into all of my academic projects with that same intent, and then just be able to overall grow into the person that I know I can be. A community leader. I think overall someone who is just a person that the community can turn to and say that yes, this person has my best at heart, and is willing to do whatever it takes to improve my life and to improve the life of my community in general. So yeah.
Well, that was that for the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 6, my first guest on Silence the Podcast. One of many, because I do have a lot of people lined up to come. But thank you for coming and being the first guest. I think this conversation was very important for any Black men out there, because I know my audience is mainly women. It's like 83% women or something like that. So if you're a Black man out there, I hope what you took from this conversation was, no matter your skin color, you are worthy and you deserve to be in these spaces outside of being an athlete, outside of your affluency and anything you may experience or face at your life back at home, there are spaces and people that want to see you win and be a part of the family.
Black men, you are loved, you are worthy. You deserve to be in spaces like this, like spaces like Yale University. You deserve to have your voices heard. You deserve to be empowered to do work in your communities, to change your communities. So yeah, keep up the good fight.
Give yourself a round of applause.
You funny.